September 1975. Two conmen pocket millions of pounds and vanish without trace.
Miller and Bellord. I don't know. I think they are the most unlikely crooks I'd ever come across.
Well, there always are criticisms made by people of anything one does, and one of the difficulties of being in a situation like ours is that anything one says tends to sound like justification of what we've done.
Organ being financed several times, so quite obviously it was total fraud.
But it's different from saying, well, tomorrow I'm going to go out and rob a bank and take a particular step to do a dishonest act. And this, presumably, is the danger of it from a moral point of view. That one.
Miller and Bellord failed to turn up with his money at a race they've sponsored. The outcry reaches the ears of Norman Luck, crime reporter with Britain's Daily Express newspaper.
And they were a bit upset because their sponsor had vanished.
And I think on the first night of my investigation, I came up with the line about the £3 million which they were supposed to have defrauded, and with the church connection. And of course that made the front page splash story on the paper. And of course after that, everyone else, every other newspaper followed the story up.
When creditors began to knock on the front door, Miller and Bellord decided they had no option but to leave by the back.
Miller and Bellord throw a hasty farewell party and fly off for a holiday in France. 2 days later, a postcard is delivered saying they've arrived safely. That's the last anyone hears of them.
Although John Bellord would have liked really to have given themselves up, he felt that would have been the best thing.
I was convinced that there was somebody close by who knew where they were, and I said no. They're not in France. They're here. They've come back.
The police interview everyone close to the conmen. Of particular interest to them is Geoff Green, the manager of their racing sponsorships and one of their most trusted employees. When Luck and Cracknell visit Geoff Green at his home in Brighton, he insists he knows nothing of the two men's whereabouts.
I thought Geoff Green came over as a fair, as genuine character.
I had a dream in which these two guys were living in a cave. Yeah, cynical, sceptical. Yeah, most coppers are. You're dealing facts and that's it.
Green's account of Miller and Belord's disappearance is extraordinary.
After landing in France, they made their way back on the ferry to Dover, where Geoff Green, thick enough, drove them all the way up to the west coast of Scotland. From Ullapool, they set sail in 2 dinghies to an island called Priest Island.
Here, at last, was the church connection. The two men were living in a stone hut on Priest Island.
There we were thrown up against some rocks because we couldn't control the boat, the seas were too rough. In the end we were thrown into a small cove.
At their trial, both men plead guilty. With no previous offences, they're given 6 years.
As far as I could gather, there were in excess of 2,500 HP agreements.
In 1977, Miller and Bellord were each sentenced on 17 counts to 6 years in prison.
The island had reaffirmed our belief in the simple things and helped us to clear away a mess of valueless and extraneous paraphernalia with which we, like so many, had cluttered our minds.